So I always thought that the Lord had something special for me to do, and with Vicky's help. And so I kind of thought a few years ago, right before we retired, both of us, that he might want to rush this whole story up. If he's got something he wants me to do, I may not be around much longer. But this is what it is. This is what God has meant for us to do, to talk to you, to talk to parents, to work with the military. And trust me, it's just not talk. We are so blessed. We count our blessings all the time. Not because we have each other. It's because things in our life has always progressed, but it's always progressed because of the Lord. This church, and truthfully, I didn't want to come to this church. I'm sorry, I got a cold. I didn't want to come to this church. It's too big. And we were comfortable in the church with that. The people in this church are remarkable. They're just remarkable. As you know, anything that happens in here, people step up to the plate and try to help everybody with that. So that's kind of my face story, and I think we have some questions. Well, I'm retired military, 21 years, retired corporate job, and also 20 years and 12 years working in the nursery as a master gardener. So if you're in a math major, yeah, started early, old. What other story you want to tell?
Well, just together.
Oh.
So then
go ahead,
we got married 25 years ago, and we were living in, I don't remember where we were. Oh, we were living in Aurora when we got married at Joy Lutheran. And we were both honestly so involved in our corporate jobs that we went to church, certainly every Sunday, but we weren't doing much else. And then at Holy Love, where we went, we kind of always liked to drive. So when we lived in Aurora, we drove all the way to Parker. When we lived in Aurora, instead of going up the street to Holy Love, where we'd gone for years, we moved here to Bethany. So we always have liked to drive to church. But anyway, when we were at Holy Love, I became president of the congregation. We were a smaller congregation. We didn't do communion every Sunday. So I would fill in and do the preaching on non-communion Sundays. We knew Julie, who's now Julie Miller, but we knew her as Julie Luton, and she was our youth director. So we were deeply involved at Holy Love.
With everything.
And so then, how many of you remember, do any of you remember Pastor Ron? That's been gone too, oh yeah. So we do too. And we love and miss him, but we're excited to meet this new pastor. We came in and told Pastor Ron, we'd been too involved, we want to be fed, we're coming to Bethany, we just want to come to church and leave. And he said, works for me. And the only advice he gave was you might want to find it's such a big church, you might want to find a small group or two so that you can get to know somebody. But if you want to just come to church and be members, that's fine with us. Yeah. That lasted
3 months. Yeah. And Pastor Ruth Ann, who we love dearly, we actually go up and see her as often as we can. And she said the same thing. And so we actually had 3 months together. We were sitting back there in church and everything was fine. And something happened.
I don't remember how
it's all good. The reason we come here was probably the wrong reason. But something led us, and it was Project Sanctuary. And then Metro Caring, and then this and that. Yeah. And it's helped us to be busy to help people. But it's amazing. You know, you always hear these cliches. The door's going to open sometime. You don't know whether you want to walk through it. You want to walk through it. Maybe if we got time, the reason I say that, you could tell the Jordan story. Our cousin's a chaplain. I'll start it, but you'll probably have to finish it. Our cousin's an Army chaplain. He's young, but everybody in here is young. Oh, I love mics. Thank you, Troy. So, what happened is his first love at Kansas State, he was playing football there and he was raised there, and his first love was going to Concordia, I think it was, up in Nebraska, to nurses training, and he stayed there in town to play football. And one Thanksgiving, she was going back and something happened and she got in a car wreck and passed. And sorry, that's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
But anyway, he came out and talked to us. And we were sitting in the hot tub, he and I was, and he said, I don't know what to do. My parents want this, and I want to go to UCLA. But I'm trying on him, and he said, that's what I want to do, and I want to get into ministry. And I told him, because some of the things I had in my life, I didn't do. I always wanted to be an airline pilot. I've got a lot of hours in the plane, but I don't, never got to do that, you know, different type of plane. And I said, you know, try it. That way you don't have to look back. What are you going to lose? But I'm not telling you to go against your parents. So he went back and he ended up transferring to UCLA, and he went out there. And I'm going to let Vicki tell this last part of the story, because I won't get through it.
So he went to UCLA and was living in this space that, if you like from the cross to maybe here, and think how that's maybe what, 400 or 500 square feet. He was living in this space with this huge dog, but he was happy, and he had a new start, and he made new friends. And he graduated from UCLA in 2010. And there was this gal Larry didn't go out because he was still working at the garden shop. And when he worked at the garden shop, May and June are really busy, so he didn't go. I went to the UCLA graduation. There was this gal at graduation that looked like she was more of a friend. And it wasn't even 6 months later that Jordan called us and said, I've got someone special I want to bring out for you to meet. Okay, bring her out. So it was around Christmas time.
But brought her out with her parents.
Yeah, so he calls me on the way in Vail and said, oh, by the way, it's not just going to be me and Brittany. Her whole family's with us. Is that okay? We had never met Brittany, and we haven't met her family, but we went, sure, it's fine, come. They're some of the most delightful people that they just came into our house, and it's like we knew them forever. Yeah. So anyway, Jordan and Brittany got married then, and now they have Grace. Yeah. And see...
But they both went to the seminary.
But they met at UCLA, yeah. And see, you never know. Jordan's sitting there talking in the hot tub with Uncle Larry, and Uncle Larry said, go for it. And do you see, God had a plan there. And Jordan said, God had a plan when I was in the middle of my grief. That's how I met Brittany. And now they both have graduated, they're both pastors, and they have Grace. And he, believe it or not, is now teaching, he and his wife Brittany are teaching Project Sanctuary in California. They came and watched us, and so the wings, the trees have spread. Yeah. And we have these 6 grandkids that are, none of them have been in confirmation class like you, none of them. But when we sit around and talk with them at the table, one of the most important things that, thank you God, they've learned from us is faith. Mm-hmm. Because they talk about how God's important to them, and about how if they want to meet people, there's people out of the Bible that they want to meet. And they haven't had confirmation classes. They don't go to church every Sunday. So they've learned from us. Just like I learned from my grandparents, they're learning from us.
Yeah. And our grandson, he's actually dating a girl that's Baptist. Yeah. And so they're going up there. So
now it's
that's kind of we're going around the circle, but there's more to us than just what we do, you know, and going around and doing these talks and working with different things. So that's kind of our life story. If we left something out, the only thing I'm going to leave you with is as I said earlier, try not to make bad choices. But if you do make a bad choice, the first thing you want to do is talk to your parents or somebody that you can really talk to. Your parents, no matter who they are, I shouldn't say this, but I will, they've been through things too. And they've probably made some choices that may not be bad, but may not. So it's better to be forward when you do that. And you know what's right and what's wrong. You know, we talked to our grandson, and he's the oldest, and he's graduating this year and going on to college and all. And we talked to him about sex. We talked to him about drugs. We talked to him about alcohol. And you know, you can put your head in the sand. It's out there. It's going to be, and this may not be the thing to say in church, but I'll just tell you how this goes. You got 3 choices in your life of what to do with your life. You can leave. Greg probably knows where this is going to go. You can follow, or you get the hell out of the way. You want to leave, because you're going to have peer pressure beyond your wildest dream. This age group has peer pressure that we never even thought about. I went to school in a Catholic school that had, you ready for this? It was a building. Sisters lived upstairs. We had 4 grades in one room. and 4 grades in the other room. And if you kept up, fine. I was a slow learner, so I had some hard time doing that. But always remember, just stop and think, what's going to happen in my life? What's the decision I need to make? Somebody said, well, I'll think more of you if you do that, or I'll respect more of you if you do this. No, it's a momentary thing. So please, we know we got grandkids, and our kids, you know, our middle son made a big mistake right the day before he went to college, and his kids now got a big time job and never made another mistake. But he talks about it today. I wish I would have just thought and I wouldn't have followed. Don't be a follower. It's easy to be a follower. It's difficult to be a leader. So with that, has anybody got any questions about, did you have anything else?
Nope.
Has anybody got any questions of us, anything about our life? We don't care. We'll tell you. Please.
Sam?
So it says Larry the Iceman, what is the Iceman?
I don't know why I put that up. Many years ago, we was in a big corporate meeting, and I'm kind of I don't follow.
He's a rebel rouser.
So we were going back and about change, and everybody's got this hoopla thing about change in our life, you know, for business. Do you like change? And everybody goes around. I was the last guy at the table. And so how change affects me, I made it was back in Boston, I made a big meeting. And I said, I think changes are fine as long as it doesn't affect me. And that caught on, and everybody says, they start calling me the Iceman. That was one of those statements that it was kind of ha-ha, you know, and everything else, but it was a stupid move. But that's stuck with me for, what, 40, 50 years now.
It's been a while, yeah.
So thanks for asking. I'm proud of it. Anybody, please.
Yeah.
Who is Jordan?
Jordan is my cousin Lane. Well, again, imagine I have 4 cousins that are like my brother and sister because remember I mentioned Leroy and Phyllis? Leroy and Phyllis, their kids were like our brothers and sisters because when Mom had to work, we'd go stay out at the farm. Well, my cousin Lane, her son Jordan, so he's like my second cousin, but he considers us his aunt and uncle. Yeah.
It's always been, and to this day, here he is, an Army captain, and he'll introduce us as
Uncle Aaron, Aunt Vicky.
Aunt Vicky. That's who we are, and that's who we. And what's really interesting, this guy was a phenomenal athlete, phenomenal. He had scholarship to Texas and everything else, and when all this happened, had a change, and he's never regretted it. Any other questions we may answer at all? Come on, I'm sure you thought of something.
Yes.
Seems like as we're building our faith stories and we go through our faith journey, we come across a scripture verse or something that kind of always sticks with us and it kind of becomes our mantra. Do you guys each have a scripture verse that stands out to you, that in hard times, that's what?
I guess some, because again, I was reading this one book and I had to stop reading it because it was about this kid that lost his father at 10. That's what the story was about. So it goes without saying that that's altered my entire life, losing my dad at 8. But I'd say Psalm 23 because I remember my grandpa and grandma Johnson, who again were in such deep grief for a year that they didn't even go to church. But I remember when we went and visited that Psalm 23 was everywhere. So probably Psalm 23 for me. Yeah.
Yeah, in my case, thanks for asking. The answer is no. But ask me in another month. I've never been asked that question. I think that's a good question. It's like one time I worked for a Mormon company for 20 years. And I was the first non-Mormon to be hired in the whole company. Why am I telling you that? Me and one of the guys were talking one day, and he asked me, he said, why do you go to church? And I've never been asked that question, just like the question you asked. I couldn't answer it. At the time, I could not answer it. So Mike and Barb Lemke were our pastors out of Holy Love and Joy. And I met with them, and I said, so what am I doing? You know, why am I going to church? And for me, I can speak about me, and I'm going to answer your question in a minute, but what they said was interesting. I know people probably that don't go to church, and they're really, really good people. But collectively, we become stronger. We become stronger as a team, whether it be football, baseball, gymnastics, or anything else. But stronger as a team. In my case, I become stronger when I'm around other Christians. So that doesn't answer your question, but I thought it was a great question, and Randy Worcester is his name. I haven't seen him in 30 years, but I always remember that, and it made me say, why am I really involved in church? So maybe give me a month and ask me that same question. And thanks for asking. Yeah, anytime we go anywhere, we have something come up and people ask questions, and we always appreciate that because, and if we don't know, we don't know. In this case, I don't know.
I learned something from Abby Mortensen. She was, last year we had the privilege of interviewing people that were getting ready for confirmation, and she had this Bible that looked like, and I said, explain to me. So she told me all these different stories. So I learned from her. I've started carrying my Bible to church, and like today, Pastor Bridgette was talking about a story of Peter and how he had met this stranger that did things differently, and then she went right into faith stories, and I went, well, that's what we're doing at 10 o'clock. But if now I don't keep my Bible as this sacred place, I've got notes in it, and I learned that from Abby, because her Bible looked different from this one, because she's used it a lot longer, but I'm using it now. And then I can go back and say, oh, Pastor Ron had these ideas about this, and now here's what Pastor Deb has to say about the same part of Scripture. And so I learned something from Abby.
So with that, we want you to know that we're here. If we're not out of town teaching, we do most of it, or facilitating, I should say. Because teaching
on weekends.
That's kind of a buzzword. You don't know what you're teaching because you're not sure if anybody's comprehending. But if there's something that comes up, we've known Tori since she's a little scrapper, and if something comes up and you have a question, say, well, I thought about what Larry said. Ask her, and she can get back with us. Or if you see us in church, I can tell you for a fact, we do something a little different than most facilitators that teach classes. We have a business card. And I remember when I got promoted to vice president of the company, I sent the business card back, because I'm not into titles. Never have, well, Iceman, that's different. But the whole thing is, we hand our business cards out to everybody we've done. We've probably done a couple thousand, maybe more than that, people. So if they have something later they want to talk to us about, maybe we don't have the answer. We don't have all the answers. We got a lot of experience, good, bad, and different. But if they have a question, and you'd be amazed, she does Facebook. I don't do any of that. I'm in the 19th century. I'm very comfortable. Thank you very much. But they constantly will talk to us about something. And it's not all bad. They may have a baby, may not have a baby. I think one of the biggest things about that, we had a couple, it was a single lady, and she had 5 kids, and we was at a class, and they come up at the end of the class.
And we were there with our grandkids, remember?
You better tell us.
I'm right here.
Okay.
We were there with our grandkids. It was a year ago, April, and 3 of our 6 grandkids were volunteering. And she said, will you be this kid's faraway grandparents? And so we said,
We always call
sure.
surrogate grandparents.
It was like 6 weeks later that I learned, again, through Project Sanctuary, that they'd been at church and their house burned to the ground. Yeah. This family that we just met. So I came back to Bethany and I said, can we help? And we did. We raised some money for them, and we sent some money to help at least the kids get some clothes. And I'm telling you, any time that we've learned about military families that need help, there's money that comes up immediately. It's happened multiple occasions here at Bethany. And it's behind the scenes, which is the way that Operation One Nation is who works with military families, but that's the way they want it to be. And we're not just talking like $50. We're talking hundreds of dollars come up immediately to help these people.
Just to say how lucky you are, everybody in here has got nice clothes on. You look nice, comfortable and nice. We was in Texas, and they had this couple, and they had a baby. And we was talking about washing clothes. Where can we go to wash clothes? We can just go to the worshipteria. Well, how much is it? It's $1 to wash a load of clothes. Didn't have $1. Didn't have $1. The reason they were there, because we paid for everything. We, Project Sanctuary, and everybody else. They paid for them to get there, we paid for the food, we paid for everything else. So again, Vicki, I talk to her a lot of talking, she does a lot of action. she got back here and got a hold of Operation One Nation, and kept in contact with them, and some people on the board, I know they're church members, got together and took a collection, and we sent them down some money. And I'll tell you what, you couldn't give them a brand new car. They appreciated it so much. Thanks for doing this and that. So count your blessings of what you have, not what you don't have. Because you're never going to have it all. And you can't take it all.
One more question, then we have to go be
We got
community.
to do community. Okay, another question?
Anything else?
Anything at all? Well,
Stop and say hi to us, and if you see us. But it's been our honor to be here.
Yeah, it's been great. And Tori, thank you for asking us to do this, and we hope we fulfilled your
Yeah.
job.